Hey heroes, welcome in. Today we have no idea what to do for you. So Kyle and I, we are chilling. This is what we
Yeah,
normally do on a day-to-day basis. So we just thought we would include you guys in on it and
yeah,
see how you guys feel. This is going to be a very casual conversation style. Kyle and I have some topics here that we want to talk about and cover. If you guys have anything to say about anything we're talking about, please comment below. As
yes.
always, like, share, subscribe at Host for Hire podcast. That's Host for Hire with the number 4. And now, Kyle, let's get into it.
Yeah, so we were just talking about what kind of just we had a few random things we were just chatting about, and we thought to each other, why the hell are we not recording? Let's bring it to the heroes. Let's do it. Like
Yeah.
so one of the things we were talking about was just like games that we want to see like remade, right? Like not just remaster. We were talking about a couple of
If you
those
guys
like
have played
but
Final
like
Fantasy 7, and you know
yeah.
that like Final Fantasy Remake and Rebirth came out, that's kind of the vein of what we're talking about. Like
Yes,
taking these
the
games, completely remaking them, keeping the core of what they are, obviously,
mhm.
and but just like bringing them into modern times.
Yeah. Which in my opinion, when it comes down to it, any PlayStation 1 game that you think is great needs a remake, a
Remake.
remaster. They've done a
Yeah.
few remasters of PlayStation 1 games and they're
No,
good,
we're ready for
they're
remakes though.
but yeah, like they're
Bringing them
they're
into the modern time.
yes, yeah. PlayStation 2 games you can kind of get away with a high-end remaster, like close to a remake, kind of halfway point. And PlayStation 3 games,
Just
just need
just need a
remasters.
remaster.
Just a touch
Yeah.
up. Yeah.
And there's like a few of them.
Yeah.
How do you want to start it? Do you want to go from 3 to 2 to 1?
Well, I
Because I
guess
think
we
I
we
think
can
I have
just
less on the PlayStation 3.
yeah, for
Uh,
sure. I definitely only have a few, which they've already kind of done. Like, I mean, like when it comes down to it, like God of War, I would have
yes.
considered, but then they started they
Yeah.
restarted the story, picked it back
Um,
up rather.
and they also
Um,
remastered the older games
yeah,
as well.
that's true. Yeah,
Um,
that's true.
for me, like things that haven't been made that I would really, really like would be like Webs of Shadows,
Oh,
Spider-Man. I
yeah,
love that game, dude. Fighting against like Venomized Wolverine, Venomized Moon Knight. Ah, it, so
it's
cool.
a classic. That's a banger. But having that one be touched up, remastered, remade for the next gen, PS5, just
Please.
it would just be a lot of fun. Another one would be like Champions of Norath or
Oh, yeah.
like Baldur's
Yo,
Gate Dark Alliance 2 or Baldur's Gate 2 Dark Alliance, which I know they just made Baldur's Gate 3, but that's a radically different game. That's a tactical strategy
yeah.
game.
Yep, yep.
It's not the
Uh,
hack and slash dual play two
Champions
player
of
like
Norath.
yeah.
What an unbelievable name drop.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, you talk
cousin
about it
Lilo
all
and
the
I,
time. Yeah,
cousin Lilo,
like
shouts out cousin Lilo.
the only reason why it's in my brain is because it's
Put
you've said it.
hours into Champions of Norath.
Yeah.
And actually what's super funny about that side note is that I'm 6'3" and like 240 pounds. I'm a big dude. My
Mhm.
younger cousin is the polar exact opposite. He's as slender as can be. And we would always play like in every game we would play together, like be it like role play or just like video games, anything. He was always the big tank, and I was always the like back archer, like
Rogue.
rogue character. 100% of the time, it was just like the polar opposites to who we were. Uh,
That's fantasy. That's fantasy,
Shots
baby.
out
That's
to
why we
cousin
do it.
Lilo.
Oh,
Absolutely,
cousin Lilo, always in our hearts forever.
rest in peace.
He's very much alive, but he just no longer lives in the same state, so we never see him.
But on that same vein, though, of like Webs of Shadows,
Yeah.
is for me Force Unleashed.
Oh, 1 and
That
2,
was like
both of them.
PS3, right? That was like
That
PS3,
was
Xbox
PS2, I
360.
think. I
Was
think it
it?
was PS2, yeah.
Oh. E
Maybe the first one and then the second one was
I think
PS3?
that's what it is.
Yeah,
Mhm,
something like
mhm.
that, yeah. But either
Dude,
way,
those would be so
incredible
good.
games. Like,
Those
those would be I wanna see
mhm.
those in any way I can. Like, whether
E
it be a remake, a remaster, or an adaptation, I don't care.
those would be a super good, like, TV show.
Yeah, that would
Like
be
but,
super
like, I
good.
guess, like, it would be so, like, anti-canon to Star Wars, and Star Wars is, like, in such a, like, weird pit
That's
right
true
now.
with Disney and,
You
yeah, and
know?
everything, yeah, owning it.
Uh
Them trying to build something.
But all right, that brings us to some PlayStation 1 games. Kyle, hit
Yeah.
me with a PlayStation 1 game. Actually, I'm going to hit you with one right off the bat. I'm playing it right now because I saw it on the PlayStation 5 store and it was $8. And I was like, it's an injustice for me to not buy this and play this
Yeah.
right now. And that's
Yeah.
Chrono Cross.
Yeah. And
Please,
that's
if you
a that
guys
that's
get in
kind
the
of a
comments,
remaster, right?
they just kind of like brushed it up a bit.
Yeah,
It's
that's what
like
I,
the
yeah, it's
like
like a light remaster. Like,
basically what they did is they like added like a turbo mode, and like all
mhm,
that like classic stuff, but it's still very much
the
in the
base
same
game. Yeah.
graphics and everything.
Yeah.
Uh but dude, it's so good. It's
That's one I
so
wanna
good. I what I want to see mostly out of anything like modernized out of it is the color fight system. You remember how like
yeah.
every character has a color, every
Yeah.
move has a color, and each one like fills that 3-part bar, and like
Yeah.
depending on like how much color is in the bars, how effective each color is. Creative stuff like that
Yeah.
would just be so cool, like modernized in like a modernized fighting system. Like, God, my like stupid Neanderthal brain can't like
Concept,
conceptualize of like
yeah.
what it should be, but there are those out there that can.
They did it with
And
Final Fantasy. Like
God,
that,
yeah,
again, what sparked this whole conversation and what the like the spark is Final Fantasy VII Remake and
yeah, we
Rebirth.
were
Again,
talking
like,
about Rebirth
yeah,
before we
like
started recording. We
yeah,
were like,
yeah.
like let's get on recording and talk about
But
like all
like
these things.
whenever we talk about it, it always sparks in our minds like now we've been shown that people can take an old system, modernize it, and revolutionize it. We know it can be done, so now we want it to be. Now we're gluttonous.
Right.
Now we
And
want it
like,
to be
is
done
it
with that
better?
remake.
That's like up to your opinion. But at the very
Yeah,
least, it's nostalgic. It's what we used to play, and it's good at the very least.
yeah.
Like if you played Remake and Rebirth, Remake, I'm personally a little meh
It's a
on.
little, it's a little more linear. As it needed to
Rebirth
be, kind of. But yeah,
should have won Game of the Year.
yeah.
Uh, that's just my
Although, although that is still debatable. Like,
yeah.
but
Uh,
in any case, another along the kind of same vein is Legend of Dragoon. Um,
exact same thing. Creative fight
incredible
system
creative fight systems. Exactly.
that would be so cool to be modernized that no one
Hmm.
else has attempted. That's something that's kind of shocking to me. Is like Chrono Cross and Legend of Dragoon. Those like two specifically, like Bing Bang, were such like cult hits
Hmm.
that I'm so surprised that no other game after them tried to emulate those fight systems.
I mean, I feel like it was almost like proprietary in a way that like
Maybe you're right.
other people like
Maybe that is
didn't,
what it was.
maybe because it was like created because I don't think they didn't do very well commercially immediately,
That's fair.
so
That's
like
fair.
people
Most
didn't
cult
think.
followed things don't
Yeah,
stick right off
exactly.
the bat.
So people didn't try to emulate them, but they should have because it ended up being some of the best games in of that era.
Yeah,
Like a
maybe
lot.
they thought that was like why they flopped, but like,
Yeah.
dude,
And there was like the more
and,
basic,
and, and you guys get in our comments and tell us like did you
yeah,
play
yeah,
these games when you were kids? Like, I guess it depends on the demographic of who's watching, right?
that's
Because
true.
like if you guys are our age, you would have played like Chrono Cross, Legend of Dragoon when you were kids. If you are under 20 years old, you wouldn't even know what these games are.
Yeah,
And
I don't
if
think.
this is the case, do some research, my boys, my girls,
Yeah,
my
go
homies.
play them.
Go
Go
play
play
these
them.
games. Go do your due diligence in the gaming world. Not
Because
only because those are the games that were like legitimately like just some foundations of like some like pillars of gaming, but
story wise, they hold up.
that right there, that exactly,
They hold up.
they hold up. It's so much fun.
Like another one for me, like which is a more along the turn-based, basic style of those games of that era, which was just like mostly strictly turn-based. Like Final Fantasy VII was another one where it kind of had a different system where it was
Mhm.
the ABT system or
Yep,
whatever it
where it's
is,
like
the
timed.
timed, yeah. But a lot of those were just turn-based. And one of those that was mostly the story was Xenogears. The story of a game called Xenogears, which I don't know, most people, I feel like I don't meet a lot of people who've heard of it. If you've heard of it, get in the comments, please. Justify my
Just
bringing
say
this game up.
Xenogears. Just
Just
comment
justify.
Xenogears and just make Kyle happy in his heart.
Like Fei Fong Wong is one of the coolest characters, but it's like it's the story itself is super cool, but also like you get giant mechs. You know what I mean? Like it starts as like
That's
you're a
the type of
badass
stuff that
martial artist, and
modernized
then
would
you
look
get
so
giant mechs.
cool.
Like
It would be
yeah,
so cool, man. And
like
in
well,
that
and like
Xenogears, like with the giant mechs, but also you mentioned Legend of Dragoon, and can you imagine the Dragoon forms modernized?
oh,
How cool that could look! Like how cool the abilities would look.
makes me breathe
I
deep.
I can't
I breathe up my
even,
nose.
you know. But the same with Xenogears, like those mechs, like the creativity that we could apply to it
Oh,
nowadays.
yeah.
That like even if we had the idea back in the day, like they just didn't have the option to apply it.
Yeah, and like
You know?
even with the technology they had, they made us like riveted by it. Which
God,
is like
yes.
if they utilize the technology we have today for the same concepts, mind blowing. It would be mind blowing. Everyone would lose their minds over it. Like for instance, with Xenogears specifically, there's an aspect of it where everyone's mech is similar to their base fighting style. So like there's some people who are ranged and then their mechs have like more
Right.
ranged weapons, and the
Mhm.
main character is a martial artist, so his mech's melee and martial artist. Like and it's all very similar. And like what they could do with the technology now of like the fine details of all of everything, they could make things so cool and have a through line for everything. Same with the
Oh, yeah.
dragoon armors.
Yeah.
Like they
Right.
could have the like it could they come on, please
Yeah,
name
it's so
some.
juicy. It's like the thing that is like so crazy. And it's like
Yeah.
in the fantasy realm, there's so many of these like juicy peaches that for some reason like don't get touched on. And it's not even like in remaking games, it's in like making games into like a TV series. Like Final
Yeah,
Fantasy 16,
adaptations.
you know,
Oh
like that it's a Game of Thrones. Like if you play Final Fantasy 16, you're experiencing Game of Thrones in the Final Fantasy world with summons and all of these things to
yeah.
like, dude, that would be the
Any
coolest like
any
8
of the games.
season show
Yeah.
like possible ever,
Any of the
you
games
know?
we've mentioned, I truly believe could probably be made into a TV series or a show.
100%.
Like there's so many. Like Force Unleashed was like we mentioned that. We talked about that being an adaptation. But it would have to be, it could be a separate thing, its own thing from the separate from the Star
Agreed.
Wars
Like a little
universe. Just
Elseworlds. Just
yeah,
give us
and
just
anything. I
because
don't
it'll be
care.
good and we'll love it.
Yeah. And even you could even make it animated and cast Sam Witwer again. You know, like he's bigger he's a
Oh,
bigger actor
dude.
now, but like come on, bringing back the same voice actor and the dude they modeled it after. Come on.
Actually, low key, I heard this is like a rumor about like a Darth Maul show or movie coming out. I think
Oh,
it's a movie, and I think he's the one playing it,
that would
which would
be
be really,
because
really cool.
he is the person that should play any Star Wars character that
Agreed.
is beloved.
Like, dude, think about how many good games would make good TV shows or
Oh,
movies. Like another rumored one that I don't know if it just got killed down the mill, but was Horizon. Like,
oh,
God, how good of a story that is, dude. That could be
yeah.
made into like they could stretch it out into like these longer seasons, man. There's
Another
so
one I
many
heard
things that
was
isn't
God of
touched in the
War,
game.
where they could do like with God of War they could do the new games, like the story of the new games, but have flashbacks to
You
the
know,
old
that's
games.
extremely fascinating because I was just talking about Horizon and how, and in my mind, I was thinking about how they could expand on the world with things that aren't inside the game. You know, that
Hmm.
like someone could like bring from the outside into like that world. And for God of War, I don't know if you feel this way, but I certainly do, is that I would want more of a direct adaptation of what we've seen in the games. And I
Yeah,
would want less outside creativity coming
yeah.
into that story. I'd
Like
want more of
well,
like
Horizon allows for a little more flexibility, whereas
because the
God
world
of
is so
War,
beautiful and expansive.
yes, yeah. Whereas God of War, it follows one person's
Relationship.
story through
Yeah,
his
that's true.
whole life. Whereas like the world of Horizon, do you like your point? There's the different tribes. There's the Karja. There's the there's all the different tribes.
You
They could
could
explore
create a
any
different
one of
tribe
them.
that
Yeah,
wasn't in the games, and it could still make sense within the context of the game. You
and
know,
be cool and no one would care. You know what I mean?
right, right,
Whereas
right.
Whereas, but like with God of War, what it allows them to, it gives them so much backlog if they start kind of in the middle of the story with Atreus and with
Oh, that would
Faye
be so
dying,
good. It's just like,
like
ugh.
and then it
Oh,
gives
and
them.
Faye could be what's her name?
Yeah, Deborah
Karen
Ann
Page.
Wall. Yeah, Deborah Ann
Yes.
Wall. Yeah.
Yes. Ah, it's all there.
It's there, man. They wrote like
Ugh.
they gave
By the way,
themselves
she's
the
so
playbook.
awesome. I
Yeah.
don't know if you've seen. There's like a podcast with John Barenthal and
Yeah.
her where she's like kind of
Yeah.
explaining to him D&D. She
Yeah.
just seems like the
That's one of
coolest
my
person like
yeah.
possible to have introduce you to D&D.
Yeah.
Like,
That is the
can you
most
imagine playing
succinct.
D&D with Karen Page and the Punisher, dude, and like Charlie Cox if he's like ever like I could die like 5 seconds after that session and just
Yeah.
like happy.
Yeah. There's a lot of like D&D like people that like I really would like
Which they did, by the way. We're
Joe
speaking of these
Mangello, Joe Mangello, dude who played Deathstroke, like
Deathstroke.
he would be a person that I want to play D&D with really
That would be
badly.
so thrilling.
Yeah.
I feel like I couldn't actually fully maybe like get into it because I'd be so nervous around
Yeah, that's
D&D.
true. Yeah, well,
You
and
know what I mean?
they're actors, but they're I feel like they'd be so
I mean, like,
supportive.
and like, I'm sorry,
They're
was that a stupid
nerds.
scene? I'm stupid. Like, whatever. I'll just leave. I'll never come back. It's fine.
I feel like they'd be so supportive and empowering. I feel like it'd just
That's
be
true.
amazing to play with them because
That's
they're
true.
actors and they understand what it's like, and like, they
Uh,
and like I don't know.
so
Sidebar. Sorry, guys, we got off
Oh,
on a
but
tangent there,
speaking of D&D
but
though, they did make an adaptation of it, and it was
the
pretty
Honor
good.
Among Thieves. I really
I actually
enjoyed that
just
when I was.
rewatched it just the
Hmm.
other day, and it's really good. Like sometimes movies can just be fun, and like
Hmm.
they don't have to have this like. I kind of feel like the fantasy realm maybe kind of got a little muddied by the MCU and its success, where
Well,
the MCU
and
created this like
honestly,
interchangeable fucking like
well,
deep like connection story, and then everyone felt like in order to like even get like like a foot at all in this
hmm
like sci-fi world, they had to do that as well.
yeah.
Which like
Yeah,
DC, I agree, they had to
I
do
would
that.
say I want to make a side note. I would say that started with Lord of the Rings though.
That's a
That
good point.
started with Lord of the Rings and how much they
The
created
success
in three
coming from three
movies.
movies.
Yeah, like
Uh,
and the depth of story and how it's
but yeah,
gonna
but like
you know
sometimes just
uh,
like one film
it's
can
fine.
stand alone, just be like exactly what you need, like and good and worth making more. Like one that comes to mind is Warcraft.
Yeah.
Uh, it was one movie. It didn't have a lot of funding. It was actually pretty good. It wasn't like whoa, like fantastic
Yeah.
or anything. It was
It
actually pretty
built
good. It could have maybe set up something fantastic,
mhm.
but it got cut off like right away because like in one film it just wasn't enough to like compete with like again like
Yeah.
the MCU or like the Lord of the Rings or like all these other like crazy like fantasy films.
Yeah.
Uh,
That had a
not all of
lot
them have
more
to.
that had a lot more lore to base off of and had a lot more funding and there was just I don't know, it had a lot against it. I do agree where I think it built a good world that it could have built more off of. But like you said, they just didn't get the green lit for the
Didn't
sequel,
even get the
so
chance,
they didn't even
you
get the
know?
chance. That movie needed a sequel. Let us know if you
Especially
guys
because
agree
there
or
was no
disagree with
movies or
that.
any like visual things other than the game of Warcraft before. So other than
Mhm.
like the Warcraft fans, that movie was introducing Warcraft to the world. And then they
Yeah.
just like of course it's not going to do like crazy well because it's not so known, but maybe the second one would have done crazy well because now more people know Warcraft
Yeah. Well,
rather than just like the
and
niche fans.
if they
Because
get a
I
little
didn't
more
know Warcraft, to be
mhm.
honest. I never played it. I still
Mhm.
thought the movie was dope, and I would have gone to see a second one. I just
Yeah.
like movies. I like the fantasy shit. Like it's my cup of tea. So like,
And even if it wasn't, there's also an aspect of people who'd be like, "Oh, this movie got a second one. I might check out the first one." That's the reality. There's a lot of people that are like that. That are like, "Oh, wait
that's
up,
how
this
cult
movie's getting a
classics are made.
sequel."
We were just
Yeah,
talking about cult classics and
yeah,
gaming, and that's how cult classics and
yeah,
movies are made.
exactly.
You need to do that because like I don't. I guess I don't exactly know how well the Fellowship of the Ring did, the very first Lord of the Rings movie,
I
but it's
feel like it did.
objectively the worst of the three.
Yeah, well, and I
If they
feel
would have
like it
cut it
did well
there,
just because.
we wouldn't have gotten the second and third.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
now imagine how good maybe Warcraft 2 and 3 could have been. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Where the first would have been objectively the worst, but the trilogy could have been objectively one of the best.
Yeah. That's true.
You know,
But here's the other thing about Lord of the Rings, I think, is because it was timed correctly, because people who grew up
it's
in the
fair.
70s,
It's
uh
fair.
grew up with The Hobbit. Like they grew up,
Yes.
and then their
Right.
parents read The Hobbit, and then
Right.
they brought their kids to Lord of the Rings in
It's funny how it
2001.
it was like
Like,
older generation Hobbit, and then went Lord of the Rings, and then younger generation Hobbit.
yeah, and then now the people. I was exactly where I was going with this. Now the people our age who grew up with Lord of the Rings, brought our kids to go see The Hobbit, and and
Well,
now that
circumvent. You're right. They timed that shit. Wow. They hit that right on the money. They
yeah.
really did. Oh, dude, okay, so a perfect transition. We're talking about adaptations here, and we're talking Lord of the Rings.
Books. There are so
Aragon.
many. There are so many books. There's just Aragon's a good one. Yeah, that's
You were
mm.
talking Hobbit. Sorry, my brain went Smog. I was thinking Dragon. Like now,
Perfect.
again,
Yeah.
technology's gotten better. I think, maybe I think maybe we're regressing in CGI. I have no idea what's happening to the world, but like you would think we could do dragons better than we did 10 years ago.
20
It
years
would
ago,
be
and even
so
like,
cool,
yeah.
man.
hmm The magic in that, the story, the lore, that I think again would be a good show, because it's kind of
Great.
expansive.
Yeah, I agree
Like
with that.
there's
But the shows don't get like that, like fun. It would have
exactly.
to be like an
But
Amazon show where they're like a billion an episode. What is it? 1 billion? Does the story call for a billion? No.
no.
Make it 2 billion an episode then. Is that what you want?
No.
No.
Like 4 million maybe.
That's exactly what
Four
happened to
billion,
that.
you say million, billion. All right, you have it. 4 billion an
2
episode.
million at Amazon. We work in bees.
God damn it. But Aragon is a really good one that would go along with that. There's so many books though. Like you've talked on the podcast before, we've talked a lot about Ranger's
Ranger's
Apprentice
Apprentice.
being one of your favorite ones. I know that would be a really good one.
That's like a
I've yet to
rumored
read
thing
it,
that's been a
but
rumor for like a decade. And I think it's
yeah.
just like God playing a trick on me personally by putting those like posts out there. And it's never
Yeah.
going to be a thing, and it's never going to come to fruition. And it's just something to hurt me. Like
Yeah.
when I see it.
Speaking of rumored things too, God of War is rumored to be having an adaptation in the works, by
Same. It
the
was
way.
like Horizon, God of
Yeah.
War. I thought
Yeah.
Ghost of Tsushima, that's another one
Yeah. Oh,
that is like a fantastically beautiful story. That like
yeah.
I don't necessarily know that it needs to be adapted because it was done so well
It was
in
very
in the
cinematic
game.
in and of
Like it was
itself,
just done
playing
so
through it.
well.
Yeah.
So excited.
Sorry to regress for a second there, but
Yeah, we talking, we chilling.
there's just like a lot of there's a kind of obscure Dean Koontz series, and like Dean Koontz is obviously a very famous prolific writer, but he wrote a kind of a smaller Frankenstein series. I've
Mhm.
talked about this on the podcast before as well, but that is one of book series
An
I want to see
amazing
adapted
series to like
into
a
a
TV series.
yeah, it would be
Uh,
incredible. There's
they kind of tried with that like I Frankenstein, and then but they just like missed the plot like so extraordinarily hard.
yeah, it
Like like
wasn't.
it
It
just
was a
like
modern. It was a modern Frankenstein, but they missed what made this book series so good. The like biggest points of why
that's
it
what I
was
mean. Like
so
they just
good.
like again, it's hard to like shit on somebody's vision, like
Yeah, because
there's like,
we don't know what we were doing or talking
but it's
about.
the same thing to me like with the Aragon movies, like
hmm
like I really don't understand how you can grab such a good source material and like do such bad out of it, like
Yeah,
and just like miss the
the point. It was like
you
the
know
first Percy Jackson movies.
yeah yeah.
Like I've yet to watch the show, which I heard was a lot better.
I watched a few episodes of the
Um,
show. I didn't dislike it. I think something else grabbed my attention, and
it's
then
also
when I was
probably for kids at this point.
a
Like
little bit,
it's just yeah.
the thing that's funny is like I'm such a big fan of this fantasy like genre that
hmm
like sometimes I get muddied on what's good and bad. Like I really liked the Percy Jackson movies. Like I really liked like Echo.
Yeah,
Like
and
like in the MCU. And then like I see videos and people are just like thrashing it and making really good points.
yeah,
And
and I'm
like
like, well, man, I
it's
didn't
like
really.
objectively true about why it's bad and like things that are just so cringy and like I'm like, damn. Sometimes my like
It makes
rose
me
colored
think.
glasses
Yeah, it
are
makes me
like
think.
so hard for this stuff.
Am I glazing this shit? Like, am I glazing
Yeah.
some stuff that I
Yeah.
shouldn't be? Like,
Uh,
I don't know. We also have a tendency to not
that's why
watch
we
and
need you
rewatch.
guys
Yeah,
to
so
tell
to
us, are
keep
we
us,
rose colored glasses? Are we keep us humble?
yeah, keep us honest, keep us
Yes.
humble.
We need to be checked. We need to be checked by the masses.
Yeah.
Uh and you guys, please let us know. Did you guys like an episode like this where it's much less structured, where we're just kind of having a conversation about stuff? Did you like more where we have like a whole structured out episode and like we're doing like Colin's questions and stuff like that? Do you want to bring that back? Just let us know in the
Yeah,
comments.
please.
We
We need your feedback. We need your help. I really, really, really want to know your answers to these questions of what games you
yes.
want to see remade or remastered, and
What
what properties you think need or should get an adaptation of any kind, whether it be book to movie, video game to book, any kind of adaptation
yes.
anywhere. Like Final Fantasy 10 and 7 would make amazing books.
Books.
I
A
asked my brother
100%
Dylan about
agree.
it, and like he said he actually wrote a paper about how Final Fantasy 7 would be a great book series, which
It's
is
oh
100% true.
yeah,
Like, so let us know any connections you want to make with it. Yeah, like I never like didn't really think about video games and movies adapted the other way in the
into
book.
books.
Yeah. So we want to hear all your thoughts in the comments below. Please, please, please let us know. Give us a follow at Hosts4Hire podcast on all socials. We're trying to hit 10,000 on YouTube. That's Hosts4Hire with the number 4. We do appreciate you guys stopping by, and we will catch you with the next one.
Peace.